Today, we're going to talk about something we all need to be crystal clear on: the threats and attacks that can happen through our phones and mobile devices, and most importantly, how to protect yourself from them. Today, your phones and mobile devices aren't just for making calls or sending messages. You use them to listen to music, to entertain yourself on platforms like Netflix or YouTube, to communicate with friends via social media, for online banking, for work, shopping, and even to store personal documents or family photos. And precisely for that reason, your devices have become a very appetizing target for cybercriminals. And let me tell you something that might surprise you. You don't need to be a technology expert to protect yourself. You just need to understand how these attacks work. The ecosystem of threats begins with social engineering, which is the foundation of almost all successful mobile attacks. Criminals don't attack the technology, they attack you, exploiting your trust, your distraction, and above all, your sense of urgency. That's why the first thing you must do is develop the habit of pausing. Every time you receive a message with a link, no matter who it comes from, take 5 seconds to consider if it's expected, if it makes sense, if something feels off. If a message creates urgency, that should be an immediate red flag. Legitimate communications rarely require immediate action through a link in a message. Let's start with the most common one, something we've probably all received at some point: fraudulent text messages, technically known as smishing or SMS phishing. Imagine this. You receive a message saying your package couldn't be delivered, and you need to click a link to reschedule the delivery. Or perhaps one that seems to come from your bank, telling you your account has been blocked due to suspicious activity. The message looks legitimate, the content is convincing, the tone is urgent, almost alarming. And that's the hook, that sensation of urgency that makes you act without thinking. When you click that link, several things can happen. Sometimes they take you to a web page that is an almost perfect copy of the real delivery service or your bank. There, they ask you to enter your personal data, password, credit card number, or other sensitive information. Other times, that simple click automatically downloads malicious software onto your phone without you realizing it. And now that software is there, working silently in the background, stealing information, intercepting messages, capturing everything you type. To protect yourself from this, when you receive a link, look at it closely. You can long press the link on your phone to see the full URL before clicking. Look for small variations in the domain name. For example, an attacker might use a domain that looks a lot like Google's, but as we see in the screen, the domain uses 2 zeros instead of the 2-letter O's in Google. Or they could use a domain like this one, which looks a lot like Amazon.com. These small changes are easy to overlook when we are in a rush. So if you receive something that supposedly comes from your bank, your company, or any major institution, do not use the link in the message. Open your browser and type the website address manually to be sure you are entering the correct page, and log in from there. Now, smishing has evolved in recent years through messaging apps like WhatsApp and Telegram. All these platforms are incredibly useful, but they have also become a source of very dangerous attacks. Victims receive a message from an unknown number pretending to be a colleague, HR from their company, or even a family member who supposedly changed their number. The message includes a link or an attachment, accompanied by a convincing story. Maybe it's an important company document that needs urgent review, or simply photos from a family gathering. The natural instinct is to open that file or click that link, especially when the message creates a sense of urgency, or supposedly comes from someone we trust. The danger of these attacks is that they take advantage of the informal nature of these platforms. In corporate email, maybe we are more cautious, but on WhatsApp, we lower our guard because it feels personal. It feels like a genuine day-to-day conversation, and the attackers know this and exploit it systematically. To protect yourself from this attack, remember the advice I gave you earlier. Review every message, every link, every file that reaches you in great detail. Turn on your sense of suspicion at all times. Additionally, if you receive an urgent message from someone you know asking you to do something unusual, especially if it involves money or sensitive information, verify it through another channel. If the message came via WhatsApp, call them on the phone. If it came via email, send them a direct message. Use a different channel that you initiate, not the one the attacker might be controlling. Additionally, if your company has a technology or security department, establish a clear protocol for sensitive requests. Any request involving transferring funds, sharing passwords, or changing security settings should be verified through established channels. But text messages aren't the only channel. Fraudulent phone calls, vishing, or voice phishing are just as dangerous. Vishing is a type of social engineering attack that uses voice and phone calls to deceive victims and steal personal, confidential, or sensitive information, such as bank details, ID numbers, or corporate login credentials. Let's look at an example. You receive a call from someone claiming to be from your bank's fraud department. They have a professional tone, they know your full name, perhaps they even know where you work. They tell you the bank has detected suspicious transactions on your account, and they need to verify your identity to stop the fraud. Sounds reasonable, right? But here's the trick. While you are on that call, they are guiding you step by step so that you yourself hand over the information the attacker needs to rob you. I've seen cases where these people are so skilled that they get the victim to give them two-factor verification codes in real time. They tell them that the code they just received by message is to cancel the fraudulent transactions, when in reality it is the code the criminals need to enter their bank account. It is reverse psychology at its finest. To protect yourself from fraudulent calls, remember that no legitimate institution will ask you for sensitive information over the phone. Your bank will not call you asking for your full password or verification codes. If someone calls claiming to be from your bank and asks for this type of information, hang up and call the bank directly using the number on your card or in your official banking app. I know it can be embarrassing to hang up on someone, but it is infinitely less embarrassing than explaining how you lost all your savings. Now let's talk about apps. We all download apps constantly. One to edit photos, another to exercise, a game to pass the time. But not all apps are what they seem. There are malicious apps that disguise themselves as useful tools or popular games. One of the most common ways a mobile phone gets infected is by downloading apps from unofficial sources, like alternative stores or using links from unknown websites. These apps might look legitimate, but in reality, they may contain hidden malware that steals passwords, records what you type, or accesses your photos and contacts. Some malicious apps are quite stealthy. They function perfectly as advertised, so you don't suspect anything. But in the background, they are collecting all your contacts, reading your messages, accessing your photos, tracking your location at all times. Others are more aggressive and constantly show ads, generating money for the criminals. And the worst ones can even take control of your phone's functions, like the camera or microphone, turning it into a spy device in your own pocket. To protect yourself, be more meticulous about where you download your apps. Exclusively use official stores, meaning the App Store for iOS and Google Play for Android. Even there, before installing anything, check who the developer is. For example, a legitimate app from your bank should show your bank's name as the developer. Also, read user reviews, especially the negative ones. If you see many complaints about strange behavior, excessive ads, or security issues, stay away. Another point you must pay close attention to is the permissions the app asks for. If an app asks for permissions that don't make sense, maybe it's not the right app for you. For example, a calculator app does not need access to your contacts or your location. A note-taking app does not need access to your camera or microphone, unless it specifically offers dictation or photo scanning features. So be skeptical and selective. You can go to your phone settings at any time and review what permissions each app has, and you can revoke permissions that seem unnecessary. Also, perform an app cleanup periodically. We all have apps we installed once, used briefly, and then forgot about. Remember that those apps are still there, still have permissions, and are still potential attack vectors. I recommend that every month you take 10 minutes to review your installed apps, and uninstall anything you aren't actively using. Public Wi-Fi networks are another critical point we often overlook. We are in a coffee shop, at the airport, in a hotel, and we connect to the free Wi-Fi without thinking twice. But here is the problem. When you connect to an unprotected public Wi-Fi network, everything you are doing on your phone can be intercepted by someone else on that network. It's as if you are shouting your secrets in a room full of strangers. Criminals even create fake Wi-Fi networks with names that sound legitimate. You are at a hotel called Grand Plaza, and you see a Wi-Fi network called Grand Plaza Wi-Fi. It looks official, so you connect, but that network was created by an attacker sitting in the lobby with their laptop. Now everything you do on your phone passes through that person first. They can see what websites you visit, intercept your emails, capture the credentials you use to access work systems. This is what we call a man-in-the-middle attack, and it is terrifyingly easy to execute. To protect yourself from these issues, the simplest rule is, if you are connected to public Wi-Fi, don't do anything sensitive. Don't check your bank account, don't access work systems, don't enter important passwords. If it is really necessary to do sensitive things while on public Wi-Fi, use a VPN. A VPN creates an encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet, which means no one on that Wi-Fi network can intercept your data. There are many VPN services available, some free, others paid. Paid ones generally offer better performance and more privacy. Options like NordVPN, ExpressVPN, or ProtonVPN are some popular and respected choices. Once you have a VPN set up, make sure to activate it every time you connect to a Wi-Fi network that isn't your home or office. Well, we will cover the topic of VPNs more deeply in an upcoming video. Additionally, when you need to use public Wi-Fi networks, be suspicious of any network that doesn't require a password. And if you see multiple networks with similar names, ask the establishment for confirmation on which one is correct. It is easy for an attacker to create a network called Coffee Shop Wi-Fi Free when the legitimate network is called Coffee Shop Free. Also, if you have a sufficient amount of internet data on your mobile phone, use that option instead of public Wi-Fi. Remember that an internet connection through your phone provider is much safer. Fake notifications are another increasingly common tactic. Your phone vibrates. A notification appears that looks like it comes from a legitimate app. It says your operating system needs a critical security update, or that there is a virus on your phone and you must scan it immediately. The notification has the Android or Apple logo, uses the same visual style. Now, trusting this, you tap the notification and are redirected to a website asking you to install a security app. But that app is exactly the opposite. It is malware that you might be voluntarily installing on your device. To protect yourself from fake notifications, you must understand something fundamental. Real operating system updates are never done through notifications that take you to external websites. So never ever install an update or a security app from a pop-up notification or a website. If you receive an alarming notification about viruses or security problems, close that notification immediately. Do not tap Accept, do not tap OK, simply swipe it away to close it, or close the browser if you are seeing this on a web page. Then manually go to your phone settings to check if there really are updates available. Remember that both Android and iOS have their own built-in security systems. Now, if you decide to install a third-party antivirus app, do it from official stores. Another source of threat is QR codes. QR codes have become ubiquitous, especially since the pandemic. We use them to view menus in restaurants, to make payments, to access information. But they have also become a tool for attackers. And here enters the attack called quishing, or QR phishing. Someone can print a malicious QR code and stick it over the legitimate QR code at a parking meter, in a restaurant, on an advertising poster. You might scan what you believe is the correct code, but in reality, you are being redirected to a malicious website, or initiating a money transfer to the criminal's account, or downloading malware. The danger of QR codes is that we cannot read what they contain without scanning them. It is literally a black box, and once you scan it, it might be too late. To protect yourself from this threat, before scanning any QR code, especially in public places, first do a physical inspection. Look to see if it isn't a code that has been pasted over another one. If the code is on a sticker that looks like someone added it, or if the edges are peeling or look superimposed, be cautious. Compare it with other nearby QR codes to see if they all have the same appearance and print quality. Now, when you scan a QR code, most modern phones show you the URL or the action before executing it. Read carefully what that URL or action is about. If the URL looks strange, with random characters or a domain you don't recognize, do not execute it. You can also use QR code verifier apps that show you the content without executing it automatically. For example, if you scan the QR code using apps like the ones you see on screen, they will show you the full information of the URL or action, so you can decide with better criteria if you want to proceed or not. These apps can also alert you if they detect suspicious URLs or ones known to be malicious. Now, for payments, it is much safer to use methods that don't involve scanning QR codes from unknown sources. And if you have to do it, verify the identity of the person you are making the payment or transfer to. Another common threat is the physical theft of devices. This happens when someone steals your phone or a malicious user finds it after you lost it. Now, if you don't have adequate protections, that thief now has access to your entire digital life, your emails, your messages, your photos, your banking apps, your social media. The thief can impersonate you, access your corporate accounts, steal your identity. The potential damage is truly immense. And here is something many don't consider. Even if you have a password on your phone, many notifications show sensitive content on the lock screen. The attacker could see verification codes, could see messages from your bank, could obtain enough information to carry out other attacks, all without unlocking your phone. So, to protect yourself from physical theft, your phone must be protected with something more robust than a simple 4-digit code. Use a longer alphanumeric password, or if your device allows it, enable biometric unlocking with fingerprint or facial recognition, but always with a strong password as a backup. Remember, your phone contains more sensitive information than your physical wallet, so guard it more than your wallet. It is also a very good idea to enable the Find My Device function. This option allows you to locate the device, lock it, or erase the data it contains to prevent someone from accessing your information. This functionality exists on both Android and iPhone, and you can activate it from the addresses shown on the screen. Let's also talk about updates, or more specifically, about what happens when we don't update our devices. Every operating system update isn't just about new features or cute emojis. A large part of every update consists of security patches that close vulnerabilities experts have discovered. When you postpone those updates, you are leaving those doors open. Attackers know these vulnerabilities. They have automated tools that scan millions of devices, looking specifically for those that haven't been updated, and when they find them, they don't hesitate to attack. I know those update notifications can be annoying. They appear at the least opportune moment, the phone needs to restart, and we think we can postpone it until later. But you really need to change your perspective on this. Every update is basically a team of engineers working to protect you from threats that have just been discovered. When you postpone an update, you are rejecting that protection. Configure your devices to update automatically overnight when you are sleeping. This way, you will wake up with a safer device without having to think about it. The same goes for apps. Those updates aren't just to add new features. Many times they are to fix security vulnerabilities that have been discovered. So also, don't forget to enable automatic app updates. There is also a very sophisticated type of attack called SIM swapping. In this attack, the attacker gathers enough information about you to convince your mobile operator to transfer your phone number to a new SIM card that the attacker controls. Once they succeed, they receive all your text messages and calls. This is devastating because many of our security systems depend on SMS verification. With control of your phone number, the attacker can reset passwords, receive authentication codes, and basically take over all your digital accounts one by one. To protect yourself from SIM swapping, two-factor authentication is absolutely essential. You must enable it on every account that offers it, especially on emails, banking services, and work apps, where you handle a lot of sensitive information. But here is an important detail. If you can choose, use an authentication app like Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator instead of SMS messages. This is because SMS messages can be intercepted through SIM swapping attacks. However, an authentication app generates codes locally on the device, which makes it much safer against this type of attack. And remember, every account must have a unique password. I know, it sounds impossible to manage with so many accounts and apps, but you don't need to remember all the passwords. You can use password manager software, as we saw in a previous video. Password managers aren't just for personal computers, but also for your mobiles with Android or iOS. These tools generate strong, unique passwords for each account and remember them for you. You only have to remember one master password, but mind you, that master password has to be long and complex. Mobile ransomware attacks are also on the rise. This is a type of malware that infects your phone and encrypts all your files, your photos, your documents. Then a message appears demanding a payment, generally in cryptocurrency, to recover access to your data. The fear of losing irreplaceable family photos or important documents leads many people to pay. But even after paying, there is no guarantee you will get your files back. To protect yourself from ransomware, it is very important that you have backups. So configure automatic backups for your device. iOS has iCloud, Android has Google Drive, but you can also use other options like Microsoft OneDrive. Yes, sometimes you have to pay for additional storage, but think of it as insurance. If your phone is stolen, if your phone is infected with ransomware, or if it simply falls and breaks, you will be able to restore all your data on a new device. But here is something important. Make sure those backups are protected with strong authentication. A backup that can be easily accessed by an attacker is just as bad as having no protection on your main device. Dating apps and social media have also become fertile ground for scams. The attacker can create a fake profile, establish a relationship of trust with the victim over weeks or even months, and then start asking for money with elaborate stories about medical emergencies, legal problems, or investment opportunities. By the time the victim realizes the fraud, they have already sent thousands of dollars, and the attacker has simply disappeared. To protect yourself on social media, be conscious of how much information you are sharing publicly. Attackers make use of social engineering, using the information you have posted. If they can see where you work, who your colleagues are, what projects you are managing, where you are at a specific moment, you are providing everything they need to launch convincing attacks against you or your organization. Review your privacy settings on every platform and limit who can see what. Consider keeping your professional profiles separate from your personal profiles. Also, think twice before posting that you are on vacation, especially with information about specific dates. You are basically announcing that your house is empty. Post your vacation photos after you return, not while you are away. The photos you take with your phone often contain location metadata. Remember that when you share a photo, the attacker could know exactly where it was taken. You can also disable location information for photos in your camera settings, or you can use tools that remove metadata before sharing. Another attack vector is fake charging accessories and cables. Something like this could happen to you. You buy what looks like a normal charging cable at a kiosk or an unofficial online store, but that cable has a hidden chip that can install malware on your device when you plug it in. Or you use a USB charging station in a public place, and that station has been compromised, and while your phone charges, it is also being infected. This is an attack called juice jacking, and although it sounds like science fiction, it is a real threat. To protect yourself from this attack, avoid public USB charging stations when possible. If you need to charge your phone while out, use your own cable and an adapter that plugs into a wall outlet, not directly into a USB port. If you absolutely need to use a public USB, use a USB data blocker. This is a small device that only allows electricity to pass through, but not data. They cost a few dollars, but eliminate the risk of juice jacking. Another option is to always carry a portable battery, a power bank. They are cheap, lightweight, and give you independence from public charging stations. Keep a charged battery in your bag or backpack, and you will never have to worry about finding a place to charge. Now, voice deepfakes are starting to be used in phone attacks. Technology has advanced to the point where someone can clone your boss's or a family member's voice with just a few seconds of audio, which they can get from videos posted on social media. Then they use that cloned voice to make fraudulent calls that are almost impossible to distinguish from the real person. Imagine receiving an urgent call from your supervisor asking you to transfer funds or share confidential information, and the voice sounds exactly like your supervisor. I think anyone could fall into the trap. Well, these types of attacks that make use of artificial intelligence, we will cover more deeply in a later video due to their importance. Now, there is also something called digital shoulder surfing. Remember that attacks aren't always about technological knowledge. Sometimes it is simply someone looking over your shoulder while you enter your PIN or password in a public place, or someone taking a seemingly casual photo in a cafe, but who is actually capturing your screen while you are working on sensitive documents. To protect yourself from shoulder surfing, develop spatial awareness, meaning before entering sensitive information, look around you and position your body to block the view of your screen. Use your free hand to partially cover the screen while typing PINs or passwords. Also consider using privacy filters that darken the screen when viewed from side angles. These filters cost barely $10 to $20, but are especially useful if you work frequently in public spaces. Also, it is a good idea to lower your screen brightness in crowded places and set the auto lock time to be short. Develop the habit of locking your screen manually every time you finish using it, even if you are just putting it away for a moment. Another attack that is increasing is mobile cryptojacking. In this attack, an attacker manages to run a program on your device that uses your phone's processor to mine cryptocurrencies. This has become popular since cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin have gained popularity, and their price has risen incredibly. If you notice your phone heating up more than normal, the battery draining quickly, everything running slower, but you don't know why, maybe it is because they are using your phone to mine cryptocurrencies and earning money using your device's resources. If your phone starts behaving strangely, do not ignore it. Battery draining quickly, excessive heating, apps closing on their own, ads appearing in places they shouldn't be, data usage much higher than normal. All these can be signs that something is wrong. It could just be a poorly optimized app, but it could also be malware. If you have any of these symptoms, investigate. Uninstall recently added apps, and if symptoms persist, consider doing a factory reset after backing up your important data. No, we can clearly see that the number of threats and attacks that can happen through your mobile device is very large. And here is the uncomfortable reality. No matter how smart we are, how educated, how careful, we are all potentially vulnerable. The difference is not in being invulnerable, but in being aware, in being prepared, in knowing what to look for and how to react. So I'll give you a few additional recommendations. Video calls also require security considerations. When you are on a work call from home, think about what is being projected in the background. Maybe there could be sensitive documents in view, or some information on a whiteboard. Use virtual backgrounds if necessary, or simply make sure there is no confidential information visible behind you. It is also a good idea to physically cover your webcam when you aren't using it. It might sound paranoid, but malware that can activate cameras remotely is real. A small sticker or a camera cover will give you greater peace of mind. For the microphone, it is more complicated, but at least be aware of which apps have permission to access the microphone, and revoke that permission for apps that don't need it. Also develop the habit of logging out instead of just closing apps, especially on banking apps, work apps, or anything containing sensitive information. Yes, it means you have to log in again next time, but it also means that someone who gets physical access to your phone won't be able to simply open the app and be automatically inside your account. For particularly sensitive information, consider not storing it on your phone. Think if you really need to have photos of your driver's license, passport, or social security card on your phone. Maybe the answer is no. If you have them simply for convenience, you are creating a risk, so don't store it on your mobile device. Now, if you need access to these documents digitally, save them in a cloud storage service with strong authentication, not directly in your phone storage. Also, continuous education is crucial. Remember that threats evolve constantly. Attackers develop new techniques, find new vulnerabilities. So dedicate a little time periodically to keep yourself informed. Follow reputable security blogs. Pay attention to news that talks about security breaches. Listen when your technology department sends security alerts. It's not about becoming an expert. It's just about keeping your security awareness updated. Also, when your company offers security training, take it seriously. It's not just a box to check to comply with institutional policies, but an opportunity to learn about specific threats appearing in your industry or your organization. Additionally, teach the security principles you learned to your family, friends, and close colleagues too. Remember that anyone is at risk. Have conversations about digital security the same way you have conversations about physical security. It's not about scaring people, it's about equipping them with the knowledge to protect themselves. Turn security into a normal topic of conversation, instead of something that is only talked about after something goes wrong. Remember that your phones and mobile devices are incredibly powerful tools that connect you with the world, make you more productive, and enrich your life. But that same connectivity and that same power make them attractive targets for attackers. Remember, it's not paranoia, it's awareness. You don't need to be a tech expert to protect yourself. You just need to understand how these attacks work and apply these security habits in your day-to-day life. Your digital security isn't someone else's responsibility. It is your responsibility. With the right tools and knowledge, you will be able to take control of it.